Hi, this is Chris Hoy. I want to thank you for joining me today. I'm going to show you how easy it is to paint these trendy farmhouse tiered tray designs. Let's get started. The first one is a simple milk can design. I have a 3/4 inch oval wash. I'm just base coating the surface with lamp black. I'm using DecoArt Americana acrylic paint, spreading it on nice and thin and even, making sure to smooth those strokes out. I decided it would be really hard to paint the little tiny shapes without getting paint to run down the edges. So I'm using a foam spouncer, tapping the paint or the handle end of the foam into the paint, making sure it's dispersed evenly across the sponge, and then very, very lightly tapping it onto the surface. This will eliminate the paint running down the sides. To apply the glue, I just used a round paintbrush and just basically painted the glue on and placed it where it needed to be. This is the window. Again, I'm using the foam spouncer, and it will take a couple coats because white is not as opaque and doesn't cover as heavy as the black does. So even though I'm only going to show one layer of paint, I usually apply 2 or 3, and you can tell when it's opaque enough. Make sure that you dry it well in between applications of paint. This Welcome to Our Farmhouse is such a fun piece, and wanted to keep that real farmhouse look. Applying white paint in the background, and if you notice, I'm brushing the paint on in the direction of the grooved boards on there. Make sure that you pull the paint from the center toward the edges. Again, that just helps to keep it from dripping over the edge. Smooth that paint on and really get a nice coverage. Keep that light touch. I'm using the same spouncer. I did have a couple of them, so instead of cleaning one out, I have used a black one and a white one. Just makes it easier and helps everything to go quickly. If you want your fingers to stay clean, I'm using a stylus to just kind of hold those pieces in place, or you can use your finger, or you can use a pencil tip, anything to just kind of keep them from scooching around while you're painting on them. And just make sure you get a really nice coverage. When you're using a spouncer, the more times you go over it, sometimes it leaves a little bit of a texture. If you go over it several times, that minimizes any texture that you have. I thought it would be fun to add a little bit of green. So the little branches, I did paint those aloe. Put glue around the frame. Make sure that you do get it on there nice and even. This is the windmill. I thought I would keep that super simple. I just painted it white. Just a super easy one. This one is the barn and the groove board. I decided when I painted it to keep that background just a plain white, but you could go ahead if you wanted to take it a step further, lightly sand all of these pieces to get that distress look, which would work out really great. Started to paint this with my brush, but we've got all those little tiny pieces, and I'm telling you, that spouncer just works perfectly for getting paint over top of everything nice and smooth. Quick dry, and then I'm going to glue it on. I decided to glue this on a little shifted to the side because I wanted to tie some jute on it, and I thought it would be kind of fun to leave a little bit of space on the left hand side so you can create these, add your own fingerprint to make sure that you create something that's going to work for you. Paint from the center out so you don't get that drip over the side. This is such a pretty piece. I really enjoyed painting this one. Nice long smooth strokes. I did do a couple coats to make sure that it was nice and opaque. On this frame, I'm using the spouncer and lamp black. Make sure that you double check it after your first coat, because as the paint dries, it shrinks a little bit, and sometimes you'll see little pock areas where the paint didn't cover well. So After you apply the paint, make sure it dries, go back and double check it if you need to touch it up. It's a super easy process. This one also had the little branches, and I'm painting those green as well. This is aloe, using the Deco Art Americana paint. It covers super well, easy to work with, dries quickly. Gluing that little frame on first. Always put the frames on first because that will allow you to visually see where the placement is. And I like to put the pieces on there before I glue them down and make sure I have them in the right spot, and then I know exactly where to position them when I glue it. I just think this one turned out great. Next is a little breadboard, and I thought I would keep it consistent, painting the background with white. Couple coats, let it dry, and using that little spouncer to add the paint on these little tiny letters. It's just a fantastic idea. It goes very quickly and it's very perfect, easy to do. Adding the glue with a little round brush, you have perfect control with that. This is, I believe this is the last piece, and this is Snow White on the background as well. You notice I use the long smooth strokes. That way, if you want more of a whitewash, that's very easy to achieve. The animals, I decided to go ahead and use a spouncer on those as well, simply because of all those tiny little legs and ears and horns, the little tails. It just makes it super easy. Make sure it's covered well. And on these little frames, it just goes very quickly. This project is so much fun, and you can personalize it to any color you want. I thought it would be fun to use red on it, paint the barn red, add some few red touches here and there. You can even glue scrapbook paper on the backgrounds if you want like a checkerboard. A lot of different options. I did use jute twine and a few little silk leaves to decorate, but you could also use the black and white or red and white check buffalo plaid. Would look great on these as well. Adding glue to all the legs, make sure that you press it down tight so that it lays really flat and even. Oh, there is one. We are not finished yet. This is the silverware tag, and I'm putting a nice base of white, painting the silverware with the spouncer in black. This is such a quick piece. I thought it would be fun. You could even add some dip dot black polka dots in the background. I glued the center spoon in first to make sure that I have placement correct, and then once you get the center one on there, it's really easy to position the fork and the knife. Using that little round brush to apply the glue, just make sure that you clean it well and don't let the glue dry in your brush. These are all the pieces. You can see I did add the jute twine and some silk leaves to that. Turned out great. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.